What's up, guys? We are back. Fitness Profit Multiplier, Anthony and Jimmy here. And I know what you're thinking. If you click this episode, you've been thinking about opening up a second facility. Facility number two. The first facility is rocking. You're on cloud nine. You're like, I got this. I could open up a second facility. So I'm going to give you guys a little story really quick. So that was me a couple years ago. I was doing good. I hit about 50K in my first facility. I'm like, I'm ready to go. Facility number two, piece of cake. I'm going to be rich tomorrow. Went, found another location, and I'm going to go into some of the pitfalls that I went through with that. And one of the things I didn't look for, which we're going to find today, and boom, some virus went around 1 week after I signed my lease. So it literally put me back a year. But neither here nor there. We're going to talk about how to do it correctly. And I think this is going to be a cool episode. I live in New York, and I've been thinking about relocating myself down to Florida. So if I was to open up another facility in Florida, it's further away from my other facility where it's not going to be any competition, but it's basically starting from scratch, which is exactly what you would be doing. So I want to walk through exactly how I would find the location, what we would do, and kind of go step by step and what you need to do. But Big Jimmy, I know you've been, so I say this all with conflicting advice because Jimmy's been chomping at the bit to open up a second facility. And I keep telling him, slow down, man. Enjoy what you have. You know, Jimmy is a unicorn in the sense that he has $1 million gym with one place, which is a unicorn in the facility. Not many, and the industry, not many people do that. So I keep telling Jimmy, slow down for a lot of the reasons what we're going to talk about today. But Jimmy, I know you've been chomping the bit to do that, man. But I think this would be cool exercise for you too.
Yeah, it's been a struggle to, maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Like, who knows? You know, sometimes the universe, and whatever you believe, right? But sometimes the universe kind of puts certain roadblocks in your life at certain times because certain things weren't meant to happen at a certain time, right? Maybe they're meant to happen later. Maybe there's something else coming along, whatever it may be. But yes, I've been chomping at the bit for a second facility because to reach my wealth goals and impact goals and all these things, I want more facilities. I want to impact more people's lives positively. I want to be able to do that. And I'm sure a lot of you want to be able to do that too. But one of the problems that we see, and we see with other gym owners that we know, that we worked with, Anthony's seen it firsthand, experienced it. Some guys will go to open a second facility when they're not ready. They don't have all the data. They don't have all the knowledge, and they make poor decisions in regards to location, affluence, all these different things that can affect the strength of your location, because location, right? As much as gurus out there, other people will say, oh, any gym can be X. It really depends on affluence, location, ease of finding your facility, visibility. There's a lot of things that factor into the success of that location, as well as rent rate. So we have to look at all of these things together to make an informed decision about what's actually going to give you the best fighting chance to be successful. When you look at all these big franchises that are out there, location, right? They're not in certain cities. They are in other cities. They're close to main thoroughfares, main freeways, things like that, right? So we have to keep all those things in mind in terms of where is going to be the ideal location to select for best business growth. You pick a wrong location, you could be dead in the water. There's some buddies of ours that have gyms in areas that are just hard to get a big profitable gym in. Just hard, right? Because of where they live, the area that they're in. And we can also talk about how your business model needs to change a little bit by where you choose to open and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm chomping at the bit for it, but I am still sitting pretty. You know, it's still a nice life where we're at with the one location. So
yeah, and I think the other thing too is a lot of people just go into it thinking that, okay, yeah, what you do in location one you have to be able to duplicate it in location 2. So, and you always are going to put your own little spin on things. So, and depending on the type of people that you have, like in my first location, it is still different from my second location in the sense that the people are different. You know, there's some things that kind of work better in that first facility than others. So it's like you're always going to be playing that game of like trying to figure it out. And this is why I think people, I don't have 3 locations, but this is why I think that people say you need to go from 1 to 3 really quickly, because 1 to 2, you just have like more pressure on you. I think when you really get to 3, it forces you to actually look at, okay, system-wide changes and not just like, okay, how am I going to scrap a little bit of money out of this? So that's one of the first things first, is having a structure down for the facility. Where, what's the gym layout going to look like? How many racks do you need? How many pairs of dumbbells do you need? How many barbells do you need? Like all that has to be set in stone. Because I'm sure, like most of us listening to this, your first facility, you kind of slapped it together. You had some equipment here, you got some equipment there. You just bought this machine because it was cool and never used it with clients, and it's still sitting in the back of the gym. Or like, you know, the failed business owners, they have like the boxing bag in the corner and all that other stuff. If you open up a second facility and a third facility, you need to start looking at how much money you're making per square foot. And it really changes the way you start to look at what's going on in the business and the things that you're doing on a daily basis. And like Jimmy said, location is going to be huge when it comes to this. So this is why I'm kind of excited for this. So now, typically, and again, I'm not recommending this. This is kind of like an idea I had this morning, and I'm like, I wonder what would happen if, and I'm sure you guys are entrepreneurial, so you get that idea and it pops in your mind. So if I really wanted to relocate, how can I do it? So first things first is you have to protect number 1. Or in my case, it would be number 1 and number 2. I have to solidify the pieces that I need in those locations. So this way my mind is free to focus on building up and building that third one. Whereas if I'm still heavily in the first location, I'll just use that as an example. If I'm heavily in the first location, how are you going to leave it to open up and go put your minds in the third one? And you can't have the facilities too close, because you're going to have a lot of overlap in your marketing. That's one of the big mistakes that I made. Was I believe my second facility was a little too close to my first location. So my marketing kind of gets overlapped by a lot of, you know, what's going on between the facilities. But now if I open up this third location in another state, it's a totally different thing, which would be a cool example to kind of run through. So now let's get this started, Jimmy, because I'm kind of excited and I'm just curious where we would find it. So because I'm in New York, we're going to go to Florida. So first things we look at, Jimmy, is going to be location, like you said. So where Jimmy has this cool software, I don't really know much about it, but he has this cool software that he subscribes to that basically tells him demographic, how much the area makes, affluence in the area. So Jimmy, let's pull Florida up on the map, and you don't have to share your screen here, but let's pull up Florida. Let's find me a spot, man. Preferably somewhere nice. Let's go start with that first.
All right, what's the zip code we're looking for?
I have no idea, man. I didn't So let's look at Orlando first, since I actually have a rental property in Orlando, so that's one step closer for me. So let's look in Orlando. Let's kind of start with there.
You have a rental property in Orlando? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I have a short-term rental there. Airbnb.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I might have to do something like that. I got to figure all that out.
It's a lot of work. It's more work than they make it sound to be, but it is cool.
Yeah, that's what I anticipate. So, okay, so if we're looking in Orlando, let's take a look and see what the zip codes are around here. So this software that I have, esri.com, you can actually use a demo site from their main site that's free to look at different zip codes and look at different demographics, right? So we can select certain zip codes. And sometimes when you're looking at a big city, guys, yeah, you may think, oh, New York, Seattle, Portland, right? You may think that these bigger cities are going to be better, Atlanta, right? Whatever. But sometimes it's better to look at a big city center and then go just out into the suburbs, because a lot of times in the city, income is not as high. right? Income is not as high and rent is ridiculous in the city. So you want to go a little bit outside of the main city center. So let's kind of look at some stuff here really quick and see what's going on. I don't know Orlando at all. Okay, here we go. We're starting to get out here a little bit. Okay, that's better.
So what's, I guess, Jimmy, while you're looking for that, what's the first thing that you look at as far as like location? Like for me, the first thing I would check is how much people make in the area. That's the first thing that I want to make sure that they can afford the services and things like that. So
100%. So first thing is looking at income, right? How many people in that area make over $100,000? Because then they have the disposable income to afford a higher ticket personal training service. Now, if you want to open in a city center and you want, man, Orlando kind of sucks, dude.
Yeah, I kind of figured that because it's a tourist destination. That's why I just said start there.
Yeah. So now when we look at Orlando and we start to get outside of the main city center, things start to get better, right? In the main city center, when we look at the percentage of income, so what this data, the software tells me is what percentage of the people that live in that zip code make over $100,000 a year, right? Because if somebody makes over $100,000 a year, then as a household, then they can afford for one person to go to your facility pretty easily at that $300 to $500 clip per month, right? But as people make less and less, 75 grand is probably your benchmark where it gets difficult when people are making under that to afford your service, right? Especially if you're in an affluent area where cost of living is high. Now, if we look at Orlando, and that's where we want to open, right?
Jimmy, if you want to share your screen, you can.
We can. I'm kind of just like poking through here, but
oh, okay, go ahead.
Just share it really quick and show you guys what I'm doing. Just because we're looking at some of the zip codes in the area, right? So if we're in Orlando here, and we start looking at this data, right? So we're in the main city center. 7% of the population makes over $100,000 a year. You do not want to open in Orlando, right? You do not want to open in Orlando in the main city center, right? And the rent is probably astronomical because it's a tourist area, right? Now we go to the side a little bit, we're getting 31%, still kind of bad, right? 20% still bad. But if we go down to this Bay Hill area, boom, we're up to 46%, right? You're looking for areas that have that $100,000 plus between 40 at the lowest, right? Because we have some buddies in areas that have 40% and they struggle a bit. So we're probably talking 45, 50 and up is what you're looking for, right? We have guys in cities that we know who do really well, and they're at like 60 and 70% over 100K for all the zip codes that surround them, right? And the key in those cities is to find some flex industrial because you can get a cheaper rent rate, so you're not in the prime retail in those areas because that's expensive.
Wait, we'll cover that. We'll cover that in a second because that was the next step once we find an area. So yeah. Wait, let's see what else we got. Let's see if we can find one that's better.
If we keep going out, we may be able to. Now we're kind of getting bad again, right? Because I don't know this area well and I haven't like researched it very much. We're kind of doing this on the fly, guys, right? So we have 30, 35 here. Are we getting any better as we go north? Let's see. No, there's some shitty areas.
Check Tampa. Let's look at Tampa.
All right, let's take a look.
Let's see if we can find a different area of Florida.
We're doing this all together.
Right there, Tampa's to the left.
Oh, there we go.
Let's see what we got in Tampa.
So again, if we go to the main city center, it's probably bad. On the water, it might be better, but who knows? A little better. Go north a little bit and see what's going on.
Can you narrow this down?
What's that?
Can you narrow this down? Like, can you just look for disposable income and just narrow and click like only to see 100K? Or no, you can't.
Not from this side of it. This is kind of their demo site. So you're just looking at zip code directly. So you can't really search that, but I would kind of get, if you don't have subscriptions to certain softwares or you don't have access to this, the easiest way to do it is to go into the city that you're looking for and just type into Google median income in city.
Yeah.
Right. If your median income in that city is over 100K, you know you're in a good place. Okay. So let's just say, because we clicked through this a ton of times, right? I don't know where the nice areas in Florida are, but let's look at one more place and just see. So we'll just take a look up here. I don't know if it's good. It's bad.
There's not a lot of money in Florida. No, like keep going. There's got to be something.
But let's look at that example in Orlando that we had that was okay, right? So I believe it was this zip code here. No.
Click that Kissimmee area right there, that green one to the right. Move to the right. That green one right there. The next green one. Yeah.
Bad.
Ooh,
horrible.
Bad, yeah.
So Florida is not a good example. But
where's that one space that you had? Where's that one space that you had that was really good?
Near Orlando.
Bay Hills, that's what it was. Yeah, that one.
So this is not a bad place, right? This area, like between these two, is not a bad place to be. Let's take a look above. Okay. This is some water, so let's not worry about that. And let's see here. Okay, so it starts to go down as you get closer to Orlando, the city center. So if we're in this area,
no, I think it was the one above that. That was
it's like Hills, these 4 zip codes here, right? Let's see underneath it if there's better. No. So if we go here, right? These areas in here. So here.
That's the best one. 3,
that's
4, 7, 7, 8, 6.
So that's the best one in this immediate area. And you have some surrounding zip codes that are also good, right? So then you get bad over here. So here is kind of where we want to be, here or here, right? These are kind of the best places, but we also have to look at main thoroughfares, right? How are people going to get to you? So we can always zoom in and go, okay, what do the roads look like around here? How easy is it to access this area from the highway? And if we look at the highway here, right, we have a highway that comes down and crosses across these 2 zip codes, one being horrible and one being good, right? Now, this green zip code here is one you want to access. And then you also want to have access here. So it's probably better for us, even though this zip code right here, right, this orange zip code on the other side of Bay Hill here is good, right? These other 2 zip codes, Harlem Heights, Independence Bike Path, kind of splits through the 2 of them. We want to probably be somewhere along this main thoroughfare in this 34787 zip code, because this is the access road, right? Like people are going to be coming down here. Now you can do a little more research and due diligence and take a look at where people are actually traveling in the area to see what traffic trends look like, to really see what highways people are taking to get certain places, right? But if we're just basing it off of income and highways, the thought, hey, chill, I'm teaching people stuff, relax, it's my dog. So somebody just opened the door. So if we look at this, we look at this highway right here, Daniel Webster Weston Beltway. We're looking for spaces across here somewhere, like ideally in the middle of it, right? Because then people shoot off, right? They're here, they shoot off, boom, boom. They can come and see me here, right? I don't know if you guys can see my mouse, but
oh yeah, you're good. I see it.
So you come down here, they shoot off, they come down and they see you right here, right? or they shoot off here and they come up, whatever it may be, right? You have to look at these things, or they're up here and they shoot down and you're in this area, right? So we can look at the main thoroughfares and where people actually drive to see how easy it is to get to the area in which you're going to be. Now, you don't have to be directly there. You could be in a warehouse district across the way a little bit, but you want to look at the main thoroughfares and see how easy it is to access where you exist. Because if you're out like deep in the burbs and people are trying to come off the freeway to access you, you just have way less reach than you would if you were close to a main thoroughfare, right? So that's step number one. I have step number two preloaded in my head, but Anthony, is there anything you want to go over with this?
No, and I think that you have to, when you're looking for a second location, you have to look at exactly what he said, highways. How are people going to get to you? Because like he said, if you're in the suburbs, you're screwed. So let's go on to step number two, man. And that's, I don't know what your step two is, but mine is finding a location. So
yeah, so step number two, we can look at this and then we can go to LoopNet, man. Pretty easy. So if we just go to LoopNet.
I have the zip for you.
So we're on
347. It's the 87. Yep, that's it.
Okay. So Winter Garden, Florida. Okay. So this is that zip code that we were looking at. Here's the highway, right? So we're looking at this same deal. Now, we don't want to go for sale. We want to go for lease. We want to go available space, probably, you know, depending on the size of your business. I like 2,000 as a minimum, but we can start at 1,500. And then let's go max, probably 4,000. Okay. And this is just to see what we got. Okay. Now, we can take a look at prices. So now we have these limits in here. We can also change space use. I don't like doing that because gyms can go industrial, retail. There's a lot of different options. So I like leaving that blank when we're looking at stuff. And then let's take a look, because we said we wanted to be on this main thoroughfare, right? Because up here is kind of a little bit of a dangerous territory in terms of the zip codes up here not being as nice. So let's just take a look.
And also look what's to the north of that. You have a body of water. So that means that your marketing is not going to reach anyone. You have a lake right above you.
Now,
so, and look what's above the lake. It looks like it's wetland.
Yeah,
no, it's not even homes there.
Right. So you're cutting yourself off on this side, so people will only access you from the other side. So that's one thing that you have to look at, right? So we go down here. Now, bodies of water, if it's just wetlands and farmland or forests or whatever around it, it's probably not a good place to be. Bodies of water in my area, I'm in Seattle, right, draw a lot of affluence. So if you can be on the, and there's a lot of like buildable land around the bodies of water where I live. So if you can be on the top or bottom end of a big body of water where people are affluent, that's probably a good way to go. But in this scenario, you probably wouldn't want to. You got to look at the geography, right? So now looking down here, we see some stuff. Oh, take a look. We're between these two zip codes that we wanted to be. There's a space right here. Okay. This is expensive. All right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy expensive, right?
Well, that's in a shopping center. That looks
like a shopping center. It's a new build, right? So you probably don't want to go there. Let's take a look here. 10 spaces available soon. Plastic surgery. This is another retail.
That must be new, yeah.
Right. Let's take a look here. 45.
There's a lot of new builds down there.
New builds. Okay, let's see what this is. Okay, built this year.
Medical office. That's a medical office.
Right. So a lot of new builds in retail in the area that we want to be in. So tough. Now, we could take a look up here and see what's going on. Or we can take a look in the zip code next to it, right? So if this isn't working.
I have the zip code if you want. The other zip code.
Let's do two more and just see what we have. Okay. This looks like a new build, is not built yet. Tons of new builds. This is expensive. this maybe? Where is that?
Kind of hard to tell.
Kind of hard to tell. What is this one? Let's take a look at it. Looks like a new build.
Yeah. Wow, they're really building up there.
So we're learning this together, guys. So give me that other zip code, Ant.
It is 34786.
Okay, let's take a look. All right, we got not a lot, right? And the problem that we're looking at with this is if we go too far on this side, we're probably out of the general area we want to be in. So this is one of our options here.
That's a medical office.
The medical office. So now the problem is LoopNet's not going to tell you everything that's available. Okay. So LoopNet sometimes is not a good example. Now, if I were Anthony and we got to this point in the process, I would say, do not open in these zip codes, right? Because of the information that we have now. But
right.
If you just moved down to Orlando and you said, I'm moving to Orlando, I'm opening a gym there, and you don't do this due diligence, like, do you realize how much you would be struggling?
Yep.
So we don't have anything where the rent rate is that great. We don't have any flex industrial, not really, right? So there's one more. We could go to Bay Lake, right? We could go down here and take a look and see. And there's nothing in here, right? And as soon as we start to get out of this area, we're in a little bit of a dangerous territory because these aren't great. And a lot of these are new builds, okay? So we went through this process. We didn't get the result that we wanted. But
well, listen, it's just just type in Tampa. Let's see if we can find a spot in Tampa. I mean, we'd have to go back to the map. I'm actually trying to pull up that ESR site now. I guess you have to sign up for a trial for it, so I don't have it. But just pull up Tampa and just see what's in Tampa. Let's see if we can just find a spot, just for sake of this, to find something for someone. Let's say that this area in Tampa, again, obviously you can see this is not something that you could do in 15 minutes. This is going to take a lot of time and due diligence, like Jimmy said. But just for argument's sake, say we found the spot in Tampa. Tampa works money-wise. So let's find the location now.
So there's a ton of locations there. I'm going to go industrial just to narrow it, right? Now let's take a look. So we have this industrial building, 15 to 17 per square foot. Now, you may look at this building and go, this building would probably work.
Yeah, I was just going to say, not a bad find, man. Oh, it's 5,000 square feet.
It's 5,000 square feet. But the cool thing is, we're talking, we have 2 suites here that we can separate, right? When we look at this. So we can separate it and go, okay, I'll take the 3,200, right? Wherever that is. But there's 2 spaces to rent, right? I think it's this side and this side or something, right? So you can go for the 3,200 or you can go for the 19 and just go to town. And the space is not bad. It's got a little bit of office, predominantly warehouse space. It's probably a good space. Now,
and it's pretty cheap. It looks like it's $17 a square foot. I could be.
Yeah, $17 a square foot for the 32 and 15 for the 1900.
So let's just look at that. So 1,900 times $15 a square foot. That's 28 grand a year divided by 12 is 2,300 a month, give or take.
So
which is not terrible.
2,300 a month. Let's take a look back at the ESRI stuff. Okay. And what zip code is this, Tampa?
33614.
Okay. Now, if you guys are still with us.
Yeah, as you guys can see, like, this is perfect. Like, all right, it's not that good of an area, but this is where you guys can really see, like, this takes time. I mean, and you know what it is? We're looking at something that neither one of us have any idea what the area
No.
does or doesn't do. We don't know if it's a good area, bad area. That's why it's a perfect example, because you're going to stumble into opening up a second location blind.
Right.
You're not going to have any idea. You'll probably know the areas a little bit. Like if I was to open up a third location in New York, I kind of know where I want to go. So
Yeah.
it kind of shortens this time frame. But this is a perfect example of what you need to be doing.
If you're going to open in a brand new area, there are reasons as to which we wouldn't open in Tampa, right? There's governing reasons, because if you're running a small group or semi-private model and you're charging a high premium and using all the things that we've talked to you about on this podcast, right? And I'll stop sharing my screen now. You're using all of the things that we've taught on this podcast, and you've been listening to us for a little while, and you're using our model, the model that we like best, you're probably not opening in a place like Tampa.
Well, Jimmy, I guess my question to you is, this is kind of like the third step, is pricing. Because let's say I had to move down there. I just absolutely had to move down there. And I wanted to do the same thing I do here, right? I wanted to take my structure, plop it down there. So now based on the data, I'd have to charge less.
Right.
So if I'm charging, my bottom line is my bottom package is 400, then I have 500, then I have 550. Those are my three options. So now I'm down there. What do you think my prices would go from? So if it goes, it's 400, 500, 550. What would they drop down to down there in that exact spot? Let's say we took that spot. It was perfect. That's where we're going.
So let's say Anthony has to open in Tampa. He's got this warehouse there that we looked at, and he's renting it for, what is it, $2,000 a month, whatever, right? He's got 5,000 square feet. Well, where he lives now, it's like 50, 60% of the people that live there make over 100 G's, right? Because I just remember that data because we look at each other's markets, right? So when we look at it, Tampa is like freaking 10% or something, right?
Yeah,
10%.
it was like 10.
So now that doesn't mean you charge 10% of your prices, but it's not like that. But what it is you have to look at it and go, what ultimately can these people afford on a regular basis? So I would probably be in the boot camp range, right? Now, we push the prices down. We would probably have our lowest tier be somewhere right under or around 200, right?
Yeah.
So it would probably be somewhere around bottom tier being like 179 and middle tier being like 225. And then you could go as high as like 270 probably. And with that said, the model changes, right?
Yep. I was just going to say that's going to require a model change.
The model
And,
changes.
you know, and again, guys, this is why you can't just say, I'm going to go open up a third location, a second location, and just go anywhere. You know, it doesn't work like that. You got to do your due diligence. And hopefully this opened up your eyes as to what you need to do in order to do that. Because there's a ton of other things that we didn't even discuss. But that is the bare bones backbone of what you need to do in order to open up that second facility. But again, if you guys are interested in still opening up that second place and you're not sure what to do, just click that link below, hop on a call with us, and we can walk you through step by step exactly the kind of like what you need to be doing in order to open up that second facility and be successful. Because that's what we want you guys to do. We want to set you guys up to win. We don't want to set you guys up for failure in any way, shape, or form. So, all right, guys, this was Anthony and Jimmy. And hopefully you guys enjoyed our presentation. Went a little longer on this one, but hopefully it helped you guys. And don't forget to drop us a 5-star review, or if you're watching this on YouTube, just make sure you hit that subscribe button and like the video. And we'll catch you guys on the